Hello, rejects and scruff turds. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And I'm feeling a bit under the weather, but I figured I would make a video anyway because, why not? And the video is gonna be taking a look at the fact that Ukraine appears to be getting more combat boat 90. And we will also take a look at what that means for Ukraine potentially. So we have a Ukrainian company with steel front, heart of Azovstal, uh, that has purchased and donated 3 Combat Boat 90 assault craft to the Ukrainian armed forces. Combat Boat 90 is a heavy assault vessel designed to attack islands and shorelines, and it's armed with 2 to 3 50 cal machine guns and can also carry grenade launchers, miniguns, anti-ship missiles, and can even drop sea mines. It is capable of transporting 18 fully equipped Marines, and it can go from 40 knots to a full stop in only 35 meters in just a few seconds. And the Combat Boat 90 is, as you can imagine, fast and deadly. And with only a few vessels, you can bring a powerful infantry force onto any shoreline. And here we have a CV90 coming to a full stop, a so-called crash stop, where you just hit the brakes and in 35 meters it's going from full throttle to full stop. It's a video, and I'll try and remember providing a link. Same thing goes for this here. This is also a video from YouTube where you have 2 CB90s, Combat Boat 90s, firing 350 cal machine guns each at a shoreline. So what you do is with this Combat Boat 90 is you assault a shoreline like this, firing your weapons at the point where you want your troops to dismount or disembark rather, and then you come to a full stop, and then you approach the shoreline in quick order, and you deploy troops onto the shoreline, onto the island, onto land, and they can then continue the assault on foot and establish a beachhead or take control of the island or whatever you're doing. So you drive towards shoreline, the Combat Boat 90 opens fire with everything it has at the enemy positions, comes to a full stop in an amazing sequence, and then roll up to the shoreline and dismounts a lot of angry Marines that take the fight to the enemy. And so we have at the moment 16 Combat Boat 90 in total that has been promised to Ukraine so far. 3 from the Netherlands, 10 from Sweden, and now 3 from Steel Front. And these 16 boats are capable of delivering 288 Ukrainian Marines to any point where the ocean or a river connects with land. They can do so safely, well protected by armor, and they can do so while unleashing a lot of firepower on enemy defenses. But it's not only Combat Boat 90 that the Ukrainians will receive. They will also receive assault craft from the United Kingdom and Finland. And they will also receive a lot of smaller, fast troop transports that can bring a squad across open water very quickly. And they don't bring that much armament. As you can see, they're not that well protected, but they rely on high speed to get equipment and troops across the water. On the other hand, Ukraine will also receive these from Finland, these from the United Kingdom, and these from Sweden and the Netherlands, and now this Ukrainian company as well. And these are carry more firepower, as you can imagine, and these in particular are also very, very well protected and armored. So you can challenge an enemy-held shoreline, which should allow Ukraine to potentially launch assaults over a river or over open water, open ocean. I'm not feeling very well. I think that might show, or you see, my brain ain't connecting at all. Anyway, so what is Operation Chef Smell, as it says here? It's my nickname for the potential Ukrainian assault over the Dnipro, or maybe even aimed at Crimea. So far we know that we now have 118 confirmed vessels donated to Ukraine, of which 16 are combat boat 90. We have Ork from the United Kingdom, offshore raiding craft, and then we have numerous fast transports on top of it all. We have Uisko class assault boats from Finland, potentially 25 of those. A bit unclear if Finland has provided Ukraine with anything else other than the Uisko. We know that Australia has supplied Ukraine with fast transports. We don't know how many. We also know that the United States will provide riverine patrol craft. Not sure how many, not exactly sure which version, what kind. But if we take a look at the United States arsenal, they have some very heavily armed and armored riverine patrol craft available. So we will just have to wait and see what they provide. So all in all, potentially at the moment, Ukraine has 143 high-speed boats and assault craft available. That will more than likely be used down around the Dnipro, or maybe potentially against the Crimea. And the boats from Australia and the US are not included in this number 143. So we have 143 boats and assault craft from the UK, the Netherlands, Sweden, and Finland at this point. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'm not connecting my thoughts here at all. So this is anyway what Ukraine, what it looks like, appears like they have available to play around with in the south, potentially crossing the Dnipro, maybe launching an assault against Crimea itself. And the Ukrainians, they have released images and videos of Marines training in amphibious assaults. Could be just to troll the Russians and trick the Russians into allocating a lot of resources and manpower to the shorelines in the south, just in case Ukraine tries an amphibious assault. Or it could be, for morale purposes, showing the people and the soldiers of Ukraine that things are happening. They have the capability of launching an assault over open water. Uh, there is some problems at the moment, though, and it involves the Russians' attacks up at Kharkiv and now potentially even here over this way here. Since these attacks will more than likely draw resources from Ukrainian reserves and potentially draw artillery and ammunition and medical supplies and what have you away from the Kherson region that Ukraine would have needed in order to launch these assaults over the ocean or over the Dnipro. So maybe resources that they have stockpiled for these assaults have been allocated up north. Who knows? But on the flip side, the threat of an amphibious assault down here will force Russia to allocate troops, manpower, equipment, resources, and what have you to this area as well, away from this central section around Chasiv Yar and Ocheretina, where Russia wants to fight. So it's kind of funny that the possibility of a Ukrainian assault will draw Russian resources away from where Russia wants to fight, and these Russian incursions here will draw resources away from where Ukraine wants to fight. So I know it's a yin-yang situation almost. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the end. I think Ukraine really wants to launch an assault down here potentially this year, but they won't do this until they have F-16s, would be my guess. And because down here is where aircraft will be relatively safe if you're in the Ukrainian Air Force. And Ukraine has aimed a lot of strikes at Crimea and the Kherson region, striking radars, SAM sites, and what have you, the airfields down here on Crimea and everything. So Ukraine is shaping the battlefield down here to make it really easy, or at least easier, for their aircraft to operate in this region here, where they can come in close to the front line, drop munitions, turn around, and then the bombs will fly off on their own and land on targets that will help Ukrainian troops to push onward and maintain initiative in a land war, ground operations. And in so doing, by striking all of these targets down here, Russia will have to rely on their own air force to fly in, which would put Russian aircraft at risk of getting shot down by Ukrainian SAM sites. So Ukraine has, for 6 months, basically been hammering Russian anti-air installations, both radar and missile installations, paving the way for the Ukrainian Air Force to conduct airstrikes in this region and being protected by their own SAMs as the Russian Air Force tries to intercept. So I think Ukraine is just waiting for the F-16s to arrive, and then they will be able to start air operations here at Odessa and Kherson. And there we go. So if we take a look at here, we can see that Ukraine has a lot of troops still, according to open sources. Maybe not the most reliable, but it's what we've got. And here we have Krinky, where you have a lot of Russians trying to contain the Ukrainians so they don't establish a proper beachhead. As you can see here, the units with an anchor on it, those are marine units, and this V shape, the chevron, those are drone units. So you have some marine elements down here capable of amphibious assaults, and then you have a lot of support from drone units launching strikes across here. And we have artillery strikes, air strikes already by Ukraine, and of course the drone strikes and missile strikes all over the area here. So Ukraine, they're not letting up. They are pounding Russian positions all along the front line here. And as you can see, they have troops available. The units at Krinky, they have been supplied by amphibious ground vehicles, small troop transports that are capable of crossing rivers, have been supplying the units at Krinky, and have even retrieved wounded and brought wounded back north to friendly territory. So Ukraine is very much still operating in this area. We know that they made a push down into the delta a month or two ago. So this is potentially where we will see the Combat Boat 90, or rather down here is where I think the Combat Boat 90s will be operating, either here in the delta or in the Bay Area. And up here is probably where we will see a lot of the faster transports helping out with holding on the bridge here at Krinky. So this is the situation. This is where I think we will see a lot of the action. Krinky, the delta here, because down here at which town is it? I think it's this town, Hola Prishtan here. We have a couple of ports, industrial ports that can receive large ocean-going transports, cargo ships here at Hola Prishtan. So I think Ukraine wants to gain control of the Jesus Christ, my head ain't working, of the delta, so that they can then gain control of the ports here, so they can bring in troops, equipment, manpower, what have you, tanks potentially. in the long run via these industrial ports, and also up here at Krynki, so they can push out and secure the canal and the bridges crossing the wide canal here. So this is what I think we can expect. I think they will try and establish some beaches along the river, maybe across the bay this year when they get the F-16s. And then we will see the larger main pushes across, the big operations sometime next year maybe. But this summer, I think Ukraine wants to get across and get a foothold, a couple of more footholds like we see at Krynki, because that will mess things up for the Russians quite a lot. And using combat mode 90s to secure the delta, I think, is not unlikely at all. We'll see what happens. But first of all, they need the F-16 so they can start flying in this region here and drop bombs and missiles all along the shoreline here and make it easier for the boats that they will receive from Finland and Sweden and the UK to get across and drop off Marines and conduct ground operations. And that's gonna have to be it. I'm not feeling well, but hey, it's fun making these videos anyway. So I hope that made some sense, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. As always, Kupa Marsh, Ukraine. Give them hell.